So you may have heard by now President Cyril Ramaphosa being criticized for his appointment of Enoch Godongwana as the country's finance minister. It's mainly to do with that 100 million rand pension fund deal that left textile workers high and dry. Questions have been raised about Godongwana's links to an investment company called Cannon Springs, which allegedly borrowed 100 million rand of clothing industry workers' pension and never repaid that sum of cash. We're reading over the weekend Saktu saying Godongwana has done right and repaid the sum of money that he said to have been responsible for in that scandal. It dates back to around 2012. But now he's caught in a fresh controversy, this new Minister of Finance, Mr. Godongwana, because of comments that he's made about the basic income grant for people in South Africa who are sitting by the millions, currently jobless. One of the people annoyed with his latest comments in a published piece over the weekend is Neil Coleman. He's co-director of the Institute for Economic Justice, and he joins us now live. Neil, having read through some of your remarks last night online about the article in the Sunday Times, I guess annoyed would be an understatement. What exactly did the minister say that you found so offensive?
Good afternoon, Thembekile and the viewers. Well, I think the key thing that the minister said was that the campaign for a basic income grant is designed to keep black people and black youth in particular in a perpetual state of dependence. And he repeated the sort of mantra that we should rather be creating jobs than giving people grants. And this is something that's quite offensive to organizations that have been campaigning for a big, many of whom represent unemployed youth. There's the unemployed, the Assembly of the Unemployed. There are a number of other organizations, trade unions, etc., who have poor members who've lost their jobs during the COVID crisis. And to say that people must rather get jobs than grants is a bit difficult to accept in a situation where we have over 11 million people unemployed, where the economy is creating no jobs, where we're in a deep crisis. And if you look at the latest statistics about the beneficiaries of the COVID grant, the shocking fact is that 70% of those beneficiaries were under 34, and of those, 70% either had matric or tertiary education. So it's not like they lacked education or skills. They lack the opportunity to find a job. And so to tell people that you mustn't become dependent on grants, you must rather go into the labor market, is really quite a cruel, we wouldn't call it joke, but it's quite a cruel statement to blame people who have no say in their own marginalization in society.
For the benefit of those listening to you and I today who haven't read the article in the Sunday Times, Godongwana is quoted saying that we need to spend on upskilling 4.2 million job seekers aged 15 to 35. The question becomes, can we do that fast enough? Because as you say, yes, there are people who are unskilled, but you also have a large segment of the population that's sitting with a matric qualification or even a tertiary qualification.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Thembekile, nobody is saying that a massive investment in creating jobs is not necessary. But the idea that these are two mutually exclusive strategies contradicts the international evidence, which shows that large programs of rolling out of grants have many developmental impacts. They stimulate demand in local economies. And we must just think that in a deep recession and crisis, one of the big problems that we have is there's a lack of demand for goods and services in our economy. So as soon as you roll that out, you promote consumption of locally produced goods, of informal businesses, and so forth. So there's also the macroeconomic impacts of a massive injection of grants into the economy. We have to just look at the US, where stimulus checks are being paid to every American family. And what we're seeing at the same time is a large-scale growth in jobs as the economy revives. We've seen a similar thing in Brazil, where there was an investment of 4.5% of their GDP in a massive grants program. And that has led to quite a significant growth in the economy. And by the way, has also reduced the debt to GDP ratio in Brazil. So to counterpose these as alternatives, as mutually exclusive alternatives, is very problematic from a policy point of view.
And how do we make the two work together, Neil? The basic income grant, which you want to be made permanent, along with other social justice organizations, and the upskilling, because there are people who are unemployed and need it. Because critics say we can barely afford the basic income grant alone.
Well, you know, affording these things is to some extent a question of political will more than economics. We were told that the COVID grant was unaffordable when it was terminated last October. Now we're told it's been extended to March next year. There's a large commodity boom happening in the society with big tax overruns happening. It's about marshalling and directing the resources that are available in our society to finance these things. And the point is to have a package which includes both the grants as well as investment in employment, industrial strategy, but most importantly, a macroeconomic strategy which doesn't strangle off economic growth. So we believe that a basic income grant is an important element, but is not the silver bullet. It must be combined with these other developmental strands of economic strategy.
You've already indicated online that you're not opposed to the idea of a meeting between the new finance minister, Mr. Godongwana, and organizations such as the Institute for Economic Justice. Will you initiate such a meeting or wait for him?
No, look, we're already getting indications that the minister is keen to meet civil society, and there are a range of civil society organizations campaigning for this. So absolutely, we would be keen and enthusiastic to have a meeting with him. Even if we disagree on issues, it's important to engage. And one of the problems with the previous minister was his arrogance and his refusal after numerous open letters from civil society to engage with us. So if the feelers that we've got are correct, that the minister's keen to meet us, absolutely, we will meet him as soon as possible.
Neil Coleman, always fantastic to chat to you. Thank you so much, Neil Coleman, co-director at the Institute for Economic Justice there.